trying to read this. In case nobody knows, there's a book out called Tributes, which all Prabhupada disciples do every year. It's a little paperback that comes out, and if you send an offering, he'll send you the book. That's Gora. So we sent an offering. All glories to you, the Sankirtan. Krishna. Sorry, my eyes are failing me a bit. Who has come to deliver us from Kali's influence? Oh, Satya Shaktivesh Avatar, yeah. You are the representative of Sri Sri Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. You first started the Hare Krishna movement by chanting Hare Krishna and publicly and distributing prasadam, cooking for the devotees, and then inaugurating the Sunday Love Feast. Personally, you cook for the devotees. One of your disciples remarked, "It is prasadam that made me come." You replied, "You have all come from prasadam." Keeping a jar of gulab jamins to distribute, you appropriately called prasadam our secret weapon to attract the conditioned souls. Once during a big pandal, the prasadam that was served was unedible. Being short-handed, the devotees had hired a visiting guest, a street sweeper, who was functioning as the cook for the feast. And one main point to attract, and so you admonished the GBC, and you said one must point to attract them is really nice prasadam. Palatable food we shall spend. What is the difficulty? Take contributions from rich persons or spend ourselves. You must give them very nice prasadam. People travel many miles to get a good meal, and we cannot give them first-class prasad. Why don't you arrange? It must be done. Simply for existing, they will immediately, you must do it. Anyway, it's, okay. So the gist of it was Prabhupada wanted prasadam to be first class. And what I've experienced over the years that I've been in the movement is the first place to get a budget cut is usually the kitchen. But even a manpower cut, it used to be everyone in the temple, or at least 70% of the devotees would be in the kitchen creating these incredibly awesome feasts. And this was Prabhupada's mood. He first came with the Hare Krishna mantra and prasadam. And this is how we were all attracted. And this was part of Srila Prabhupada's mission, of course, prasadam distribution, book distribution, and Harinam. And everything is included in all that somehow or other. So we have this mission to bring back the original Sunday Love Feast. Bhargava and Naranarayan Prabhu, all of us remember these extraordinary feasts. And Sunday is our day to be giving the public what we have to offer. It's like our, Emmy Award. It's the day that we should really shine and do everything really first class. So, and prasadam is something that people can actually taste. Some of them are so impious that they can't understand the philosophy so well. That's the way we were in the beginning. But prasadam hits everyone right where it counts, right in the stomach. A way to a man's heart or a woman's is through his stomach. So for 40 years I've been working on this cookbook, but I'm so inept and disorganized and spaced out that I'm just now trying to get a little hold on it now that I'm in this wonderful association here in LA. Suvas and Ratnabhushana and all the devotees are giving me such a great facility. So I just wanted to thank Srila Prabhupada for creating this wonderful facility and for being able to be here and to do what I love to do. And it all starts with Srila Prabhupada, who gave us everything. And on these special days, we should really honor him and hear from devotees like Bhargava and others who had his association. And this is such a wonderful opportunity. There's a special Shakti or energy here on these days. So please forgive me for any offenses. I was telling Jagani Vas and Mukta Charita that I live to be corrected. So, of course, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, he's correcting me in Krishna. But we have the Sangha of devotees. Thank you for tolerating me, and thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for bringing me a life that I love in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you for that heartfelt homage. Mother Kriya Shakti, you want to speak next?
Will it stay up? Thank you. In praise of you, Srila Prabhupada, a song flows from your lotus mouth and breathes a heavenly psalm, describing the beauty of Radha Madhava's divine forms who reside in Vrindavan. The breath of a gentle sighing gale sing the glories of the shady bowers. Golden fruits display their charms, and these sweetly blooming flowers are ever fresh and never fall prey to winter's cold in the Lord's Chintamani Dham. You gave us a transcendental vision bright, beyond the world we know, far away from our mundane sight, a realm where milk and honey flow, and children play in the forest groves, ever young and ever fair. From this dreary valley where I sit, the mists hang heavily near. Could I ever be set free and soar to this blissful sphere? In your endless sunshine bright, we have witnessed the rapture swell. Oh, what bliss to be there to dwell. But the stream that blocks my path becomes an ocean I cannot cross. Desire, arrogance, and greed froth the frowning waves that toss and rise and wear my spirit down. Srila Prabhupada, the dearmost servant of the Lord, you entered our lives boldly without fear, brandishing a pen as sword to slash through ignorance and illuminate the way, drawing us ever near to Lord Gauranga's helping hand. As you go, we will follow, chanting the holy name to his transcendental land. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.
Thank you, Mata. Jai Jagadish Prabhu.
Can you move this garland? Can you move Hare Krishna. Why do we celebrate the passing of Srila Prabhupada? I don't mean why do we commemorate it, I mean why do we celebrate it? Millions of mundane novels and plays and poems and movies are filled with love stories, and if a loved one dies, that's the cause of a greatest heartache. Not that Srila Prabhupada's passing didn't cause us heartache, doesn't cause us heartache. It did, and it does. But like the passing of Bhishma Dev or Haridas Thakur, or the disappearance of Lord Krishna himself or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the passing of the pure devotee is not a random act imposed by the cruel laws of material nature. In fact, it has nothing to do with the laws of material nature. Rather, the passing of the pure devotee is a perfectly executed, divinely orchestrated act of Leela, in which both the Lord and the devotee mutually participate. It's an event that intensifies the love between the Lord and the devotee. And though it may externally resemble death from a material perspective, it has nothing at all to do with death. For it's not punishment, it's play. It's not bewilderment, it's bliss. It's not tragic, it's transcendental. It's not painful, it's pure. Ordinary death means the bewildered soul is forcibly and unwillingly dragged from his body. He's disoriented and overcome by pain. He knows not what's happening, nor where he's going, nor what awaits him. Nor does he understand who's overseeing this excruciating transition. If the conditioned soul has suffered long illness, he's hoping for relief and finally rest. Little does he know that the fun has just begun. We will never understand Srila Prabhupada's consciousness, the depth of his love, his compassion, his laulium, his greed to serve. Is it offensive to speculate on Prabhupada's mindset at the time of his passing? Perhaps. But if the intention is to appreciate him and glorify him, hopefully Krishna will excuse any offense. First and foremost, Srila Prabhupada's desire was to serve, however and wherever Lord Krishna called him. Practically, with his last breath, he was dictating his monumental Bhaktivedanta Bhagavatam purports, even though he didn't have the strength to sit up or even hold the microphone of his dictation machine. But have you heard recordings of his voice at that time? It is deep and full and strong. Perhaps Prabhupada was concerned for his fledgling movement and his disciples and their disciples to follow. After all, didn't he boil his blood, to use his own phrase, and sacrifice his health to continually travel in order to inject devotional health into ISKCON and the devotees. In fact, Prabhupada must have been concerned for all living entities and the entire planet, indeed all conditioned souls in the universe, for Srila Prabhupada was all about big ISKCON. Matter is a perverted reflection of spirit. The greatest spiritual pleasure, madhurya ras, when reflected through matter, becomes the greatest distraction from spirit. Conversely, the most painful, disorienting, and feared moment in one's life, one's death, when shined through the prism of spirit, becomes the moment of greatest surrender and ecstasy and joy and love. There's an early black and white photo, a formal portrait of Srila Prabhupada seated. His expression is sublime but intense. Reportedly, a devotee told him, "Prabhupada, you looked sad in that photo." And Prabhupada replied, "It was a moment of ecstasy." From time to time, Prabhupada would either exhibit symptoms of ecstatic love or make indirect references. After he underwent several days of intense fever with nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, an experience that would destroy the consciousness of a neophyte, a devotee asked him how he felt. Prabhupada's response, "It was a love bite." And a senior Vaishnava who's not an ISKCON member but who spent many years with Srila Prabhupada's association in India before Prabhupada traveled to the West, and who was present at Prabhupada's passing in Vrindavan, observed that just before his passing, Prabhupada exhibited movements of his hands and arms that were in fact mudras, indicating the highest levels of transcendental ecstasy. And that is why we celebrate the glorious passing of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. One of the most telling Bhagavatam purports, one that made everything about Prabhupada so much clearer for me, concerns the cursing and fall of Jai and Vijay to the material world. Prabhupada writes that exalted devotees who enter the material world by the Lord's will are never under the control of material nature, even though they appear to be. It was like a light came on for me. There's a continuum between full faith and complete doubt. One may have full faith in Prabhupada, or one may completely doubt Prabhupada. And along that continuum between faith and doubt, there's something that is neither faith nor doubt. It's more like incomplete information. Here is an example. I accept that Prabhupada was never a conditioned soul and had entered the material world only to fulfill Lord Chaitanya's mission. I also accepted that Prabhupada, being ever cognizant of his eternal relationship with Krishna, never identified with his material body. So I asked myself, why as a child would little Abai throw a tantrum because he insisted on 2 toy guns, one for each hand? Why as a young man would he resist visiting Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and become an activist in Gandhi's movement? Or why would he prefer to marry one girl over another, or to take a second wife? In other words, why do eternally liberated souls sometimes act like conditioned souls? I once gave a class in which I examined this same subject, and the closest I came to any conclusion was this: Lord Krishna seems to undergo a human experience when he incarnates in his original form. So why shouldn't an eternally liberated soul also undergo a human experience? Perhaps it was part of Prabhupada's training grounds to become the exalted Acharya that he was. But that was before I encountered this particular purport by Srila Prabhupada. And the answers to all these questions about Prabhupada's earlier life, his toy guns, one for each hand, and Gandhi, and being attracted to a certain girl, the answers are this: we don't know and we may never know, but it does not and should not cast doubt upon Prabhupada's transcendental position, because exalted devotees who enter the material world by the Lord's will are never under the control of material nature, even though they appear to be. And that is why we celebrate Srila Prabhupada's divine passing. Srila Prabhupada, I pray that as long as there is breath in my body and life in my bones, I continue to chant Krishna's holy name and to glorify you and serve you to the best of my ability. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada, on this, the 42nd anniversary of your divine disappearance. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Thank you. Wow, that was awesome. So, our next speakers will be Narayan Prabhu. Boo, if you're more comfortable, just go ahead and sit on. Yes, sir. Chair, whatever.
No, I guess.
Just, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhus. I was very fortunate to be trapped by the energy of Krishna's external energy that forced me actually to surrender to Srila Prabhupada. I had unusual opportunities to move around the world, usually before Prabhupada got there, preparing things for Prabhupada and then being there. An early example is that in Seattle, when we opened the temple there, I had just become initiated, and they sent me up there to build the altar, Vyasasan, etc., for Srila Prabhupada. So when we came up there, we were very eager to see people coming to the temple, and lo and behold, a group of students, well, not in those days, nicely dressed students came from the university and sat down in front of Prabhupada. And we were sitting behind, so we couldn't see what was going on. So Srila Prabhupada began to lecture, and he lectured, extremely exaltedly, very beautifully. And then at one point in the middle of the lecture, he stopped, looked at the students and said, "Please do not try to misunderstand. Misunderstanding is already there." See, we had all thought that they were relishing what Prabhupada said, but I guess they were there just to make fun. But anyhow, please do not try to misunderstand. Misunderstanding is already there. So, on a later occasion in Bombay, when Prabhupada first came to stay with a family named Acharya, and they were all airline pilots. So Srila Prabhupada swept in with his group of devotees, like a flying wing of devotees behind him for like a morning walk. And they all swept up to the house where Prabhupada was to stay. And there was a little round step going up, scaled the way we were thinking in the old days. It seemed like a big opportunity, the stairs, this color. But actually, when I came back later, they were quite small. But Prabhupada swept up as though they were large, put down his cane, turned to the devotees, smiled grandly, hugely, and said, "Ah," he said, "finally I am taking shelter of the Acharyas." This is the name of the family. So in London, before that, a long time before that, I always had this impulse to ask Prabhupada a question. And the minute that I had that impulse, I regretted it. I didn't want to ask because, I felt so exposed by my ignorance. And so I was knocked on his door, which was during his japa time, and usually not disturbed there. And he said, "Come in." So I came in, and I sat down as close to the wall as I could, like a mouse, wishing like anything that I hadn't come in the door. And Prabhupada was pacing back and forth in the room with his japa beads, huge japa beads. He would, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Then he'd wheel around at the wall, said, "Hare Krishna," and then go back to the other wall, "Hare Krishna." He'd be walking back and forth like that. And then finally he looked at me from the sideways and said, "Yes, you have a question." I wished I could have, evaporated at that moment, because here I was in the middle of his japa. And I had to say something, so I asked my question. I said, "Srila Prabhupada, is it possible that a person like myself, lowly, sinful soul like myself, can become a pure devotee like you?" And Prabhupada paced back and forth a few times, and I sat there waiting for Yamaraj to grab me and take me away or something like that. And he looked at me and said, "Yes," he said, "why not? You are in the process." Then he started, I sat there thunderstruck, because that was an amazing thing to hear. And he walked back and forth a few times. Then he looked at me sideways and said, "But it may take some time." So I was involved in Bombay, with building a formal garden, and Prabhupada asked me to build a formal garden, and the temple president there kept trying to stop me. He said to do it, and he put it in writing in letters. But the temple president was a big shot with life members, and he didn't want to spend a penny if he could help it. And I asked him, "How do I build this garden?" And he said, "Well, why not I'll give you 50 rupees, get some pots and put flowers in them by the door." I said, "I don't think that's what Prabhupada had in mind." So anyhow, I wrote to Prabhupada, which got the temple president into hot water, which he never forgot. And he finally came up with the money, and we built that garden. And it dawned on me, finally, why he wanted to build a formal garden in that Juhu land, a lot of space. I built over an acre garden. Why did he want that garden there, and on land that we hadn't even bought yet? We were still negotiating to buy it. And it dawned on me many, many, many years later. Why? He said, Indian law sort of is based on occupancy. So if we built a formal garden there, and it was gorgeous, with plants that I brought down from Pune, on the train, rare plants of types of jasmine and types of mogra and things like that. We brought it down and put brick pathways, etc. He said, because that will establish our ownership. And it did. Anyhow, that's a slight anecdote off to Prabhupada. But I was there trying to do so many things, and there was a committee of guys that were designing the building, and the building was it was like columns to be built with bricks to be filled in between, but it was never finished. And there was sort of like a snare of wire, rebar sticking out of the columns. And Prabhupada wanted us to turn that into a tent-like structure for us to live in. So he had them building that, and then they started putting on the roof out of canvas over there. And I talked to the construction guys and said, you can't do that. And I took them to see the houses there that had great big high peaked roofs because of the heat and ventilators at the top. And I said, we have to have a high roof. And they said, no, Prabhupada put me in charge. No, we are going to do it this way. So I was very disappointed and very freaked out because I knew it had become a sweltering sweat house during the day, which it was. And so I went in to see Srila Prabhupada in the Acharya's house, and there was a low part with steps about this high, and then a lower part. And Prabhupada was sitting to the right against the wall. And I came to the doorway, not doorway, but sort of space coming there, and I was so grieved. And I said, because I thought, if Prabhupada wanted that building like that, then I must be wrong. But I know that from the engineering point of view, I wasn't wrong. And then I realized then transcendentally I must be wrong. I must be insane. There must be something terrible happening that has put me on the wrong side of reality. So I came in there and I was bowed, offered my obeisances and kneeled there, and I said to Srila Prabhupada, I didn't even say anything to Srila Prabhupada. I said, Srila Prabhupada, I am so sorry that I'm such a bad devotee. I'm so sorry. And Prabhupada said, what did you say? I said, I'm so sorry that I'm such a bad devotee. And I sat there, and Prabhupada sat there for a while. And then he said something, because of my hearing impairment, I couldn't hear, and the dyslexia too on top of it. He said, and his accent, he said something, and I said, what did you say? They said, they criticize Lord Chaitanya. And I thought, oh my God, he thinks I'm criticizing Lord Chaitanya. I said, no, Srila Prabhupada, I'm a very bad devotee, and I'm sorry. I want to be a good disciple, but I'm not. I'm so sorry. I have failed you in so many ways. And then he said very clearly, even to my bad hearing, they criticized Lord Chaitanya. They criticized Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, he said. What to speak of you and me? Then I looked at Srila Prabhupada, and I realized the stress and strain he was continuously under, dealing with people like me and my dear godbrothers who were always wanting something, always trying to force the situation, always trying to make something happen without saying, Prabhupada, what should we do? They'd say, I'm going to do this, and Prabhupada would have to maneuver around them. And I realized what a wonderful thing he had said. They criticized Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. What to speak of you and me? And when he said, what to speak of you and me, it sounded very close, like you and me. And he had included me, but he had included himself, so I would realize what situation how he felt. about being in a situation where he was under continuous stress from his disciples. It was an unusual perception because it's not the way we normally see or perceive Prabhupada, nice big pictures, smiling, and everything. And I was under stress, and he made me feel alive again, and I was able to continue with my service. But then, in the end, I figured out, many, many years later, I figured out why he wanted a impossibly hot canvas roof. The canvas transmitted the sun into that space. It was very simple. He didn't want anyone sleeping there during the day. He didn't want anyone sleeping there during the day. So I was sitting chanting japa in a chair, and Prabhupada was in a chair at a table in that same house, but in the living room. I'm chanting japa, Prabhupada is chanting japa there. And I have this impulse again to say something, to ask him something. I said, I made a statement actually. I looked at Prabhupada yearningly and said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, it is so difficult to," here we're both chanting japa. He's chanting from Krishna Loka japa, and I'm chanting Hare Krishna, material world, sinful activities chasing me down the street, trying to remember that I'm initiated with japa. And I look at him and said to Srila Prabhupada, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, it's so difficult to become a pure devotee. It seems so difficult to become a pure devotee just like you." And Prabhupada was chanting with his big bead bag, and it turned, and big bead bag, and his finger was sticking out. Suddenly, he looked at me. His eyes shot wide open like this. His hand went up like that in his bead bag. He turned to me and said, "Difficult," he said, looking at me with utter surprise and astonishment. "It's easy." He said, "It's easy." Naturally, the little devil in my heart said, "Easy for you, But later on, I began to realize, and I began to live my life accordingly. When he said it's easy to become a pure devotee, I realized concretely, solidly, and irrefutably, if it's not easy, it's not working. Krishna consciousness is always easy, transcendentally easy, never not easy. When we do our service, if we're struggling, if we're thinking about Maya, if we're forgetting that we are sat and we are becoming distracted by including the illusion that this is our body, has something to do with our existence. It's just a vehicle like a car. And we say that we are concerned with this and that, this person, that person, this task, this job. We think, but actually, that's difficult. Reason we are doing manual tasks as Vaishnava disciples of a Vaishnava, is to learn how it is easy. So I had to learn that, and it took me years to come to realize, Prabhupada said, when it's easy, that's reality of surrender to Krishna and being empowered by Krishna to do your task for him. But if it's hard, I don't know what to do, So, I finally came to the conclusion that I had to do it the easy way, particularly as my body gets old. I've been older, I've been going through had so many injuries and things like that. For me to survive, I began to realize something. So I would say every morning when I woke up, I don't have a soul. I am the soul. I have a body. I don't have a soul. I am the soul. I have a body. I don't have a soul. I am the soul. I have a body. And after that, I felt that I could walk through traffic blindfolded and not get hit by a car. Because I'm working from the easy, working from the point of easy, not hard. So, Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan in 1969 was out of doors talking. I think you have all seen the picture. He's sitting on a slope. Okay, sitting on a slope. Punch minute. He's sitting on a slope on the ground behind a little wooden table. Do you have seen the picture? He's sitting behind the little wooden table talking, and Petit Udaran and Pradumna's wife and Pradumna, everybody is sitting behind there, and he's speaking, and he says things that are astonishing. He said, Prabhupada, where's Krishna? You can see Krishna, can't you? Everywhere. Where is Krishna? And Prabhupada looked at us in complete astonishment. And remember, New Vrindavan was wild, small number of devotees there visiting in April of 1969. And we're sitting there, and it's very still. It's sort of like a magical place. And Prabhupada looked around like that at the forest and said, Krishna is everywhere. You cannot see him? He said. So, at that same time, I was he said so many amazing things, and we were not recording it. 69 was way before cell phones had ways of recording. So I was standing at the doorway, and Prabhupada was coming out, and I said, Srila Prabhupada, may I ask you a question? He said, yes. He looked at me. I said, you're saying all of these amazing, wonderful, transcendental things here. And I try to think even the next day, I can't remember. And I know that's true for all of us. We can't remember the things that you're saying to us. And it's so transcendently wonderful, so extraordinary. And yet we can't remember. And Prabhupada looked at me and said, the words I am speaking are transcendental. They are going into your heart. When you need to remember, you will remember them. And the proof of that is, I just told you the story. Hare Krishna Prabhus.
Thank you, Narayan Prabhu. Next speaker will be Maheshwar Das.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Star Bhutlade Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devan Gauravani Vicharani Nivashesha Sanyavati Pashkata Deshtami. So we all refer to Srila Prabhupada as our guru. And the word guru, as we all know, means teacher. And teachers can be good teachers and they can be bad teachers. And I think we'd all agree that Prabhupada was neither of those. He was an extraordinary teacher. So the question is, what makes an extraordinary teacher? We could say, and we have said this, and people do say this, that an extraordinary teacher, a good teacher, is a teacher who actually influenced the student in such a way that the student actually gets the lesson, learns the lesson. Whether it's whatever this topic is, They can go and then they can teach the lesson to somebody else. So the argument could be made, though, that maybe some devotees didn't quite get the lesson and they might have gone away, and therefore the challenge could be made that, well, then does that mean Prabhupada wasn't the extraordinary teacher? And I would respond to that with what's written in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which specifically states that the reason why the exchange between Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Pariksit was so extraordinary was because you had the perfect teacher and you had the perfect student. You need both. You need the good teacher and the good student. Obviously, you can have an extraordinary teacher, and if you have an inadequate student, or a student who, in our many cases, we may have been too immature to understand what the extraordinary teacher was teaching. So, some of the other qualities that I particularly have appreciated and continue to be amazed by when I read Prabhupada's books is not only did he teach us what to do and how to do it, and he taught us really literally everything: how to eat, how to dress, how to think, how to bathe the body, how to take care of the body, so many things. And of course, the ultimate thing was to teach us how to really understand the purpose of life. Why are we walking on the face of this earth? And of course, we know because we have an eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord that somehow or another we forgot. And so when a teacher teaches, they'll say, no, don't do it like that. So you have both positive reinforcement and then you'll have negative reinforcement. And I think most psychiatrists would tell you that positive reinforcement always works better. So instead of telling the child, don't do like that, they will try to redirect their attention and get them to do something that's what you're really trying to help them learn how to do, a positive way. And we see that with Srila Prabhupada too. Of course, we were all extremely, or I should say myself, was extremely foolish and had so many foolish ideas that we weren't always capable of doing the right thing. And we do read stories of Srila Prabhupada telling us how his disciples would sometimes not only frustrate him, but amaze him with our lack of understanding. And he even gave the analogy of trying to make Vaishnavas out of Western disciples is like washing his hands with coal. It's just, it's almost useless. You can't wash your hands with coal. But somehow or another, with his extraordinary patience, we were actually able to learn at least a little bit over the course of the 12 years that he shared with us. And somehow we're all still continuing to learn. But here's the other point I want to make. I don't know, how much time do we have, Brigapati? Huh? Okay. Here's another really extraordinary thing I'd like everybody to think about. So not only did he, tolerate our incredibly ignorant, foolish, upbringings and bad ideas and, Western concepts, especially when we start getting into the world of what we thought was spiritual, mixed up with all sorts of New Age ideas and drug culture and so many things. But he also taught us when we did something wrong, he taught us why it was wrong. And he taught us where the other alternative philosophies that are out there, he taught us why they weren't adequate to really help us get out of the material world. So for example, we all say every morning, Nivarsesha Sunyavadi. So he explained to us what voidism was in the Buddhist culture. We've all heard the word nirvana. Nirvana means a place where there's nothing. Oh, we're all going to go to a place where there's nothing. Everything is nothing. When you actually think about that, you go, well, why would I want to go there? I mean, it's a pretty startling realization. You go, okay, well, take that off the list. And I say that respectfully to the people who are practicing Buddhism, but at least in my encounter with the people that I meet in Southern California, I don't even know if they don't have that realization because they didn't talk to Srila Prabhupada. They didn't get that explanation. So they're still trying to figure that out maybe. And then the same thing is true for for the people who are Brahman, into the Brahman. It's all energy, it's all light. They have their own terms for it. We understand it as the Brahman. And of course, we all are familiar with different flavors of the impersonalist philosophy. We're all one, we're all God, we're all energy. There is no supreme person. Prabhupada actually taught us the differences between all these things. It's not just one big bowl of jelly or jello. I mean, there's actually distinctions between these different philosophies, and he taught us how to see them and recognize them and find the symptoms of them. These are certain symptoms. And then he taught us about what in America we worship is science. He said, those scientists, don't listen to them. They're all basically guessing, and they're constantly revising their guesses, and they call it science. It's true until somebody comes along and says, well, excuse me, did an experiment and I can prove to you but that's not true anymore. Oh, okay, well then that must be true. And it's sort of like a big ball that keeps rolling along with more speculations. That'll never help you get out of the material world. Why would you want, spend time doing that? And then, of course, all of the other philosophers, we have a book, I haven't seen it too much, but I know it's out there, called Dialectic Spiritualism. Shamsundar in the early days, somehow it came up. I believe Shamsundar had indicated to Prabhupada that he'd studied philosophy. He said, that's very good, let's talk about that. And so he said, okay. So he studied up a little bit, and he presented the basic core teachings of all of these different philosophers. And Prabhupada just struck them all down. No, that doesn't work. Why is he saying like that? He went through all of them, all the old ancient philosophers, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and then he went through the modern philosophers, and he explained how each one of them, where the flaw was in what they were teaching. And that doesn't work either. Anyhow, in a nutshell, he taught us how to not waste our time. And he actually helped us understand. So the point I'm making is that when you take a test, normally a teacher will say, I'm sorry, that's the wrong answer. And then, of course, hopefully they'll tell you what the right answer is. But how many times does the teacher tell you, that's the wrong answer, and this is why it's the wrong answer? That's the extra effort. That's the extra step. And that's what Prabhupada gave us. He gave us the why. Everything else just doesn't quite get over the bar. Doesn't quite completely put all the pieces together. Anyhow, that was my appreciation for Srila Prabhupada. And I hope everybody can also appreciate. We have the most extraordinary teacher.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Mahashwata. Mother Jagajanani. Yeah, go ahead.
My dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, Guru Dev. I beg to offer my gratitude to all that you have achieved and to all that you have achieved and shared within the whole world and beyond. The magnitude of what we have received is inconceivable. I pray I can become sincere and glorify you with all that I can muster up. You only ask us to love Krishna, and that is only possible because we love you. Because of your mercy, we really can become fearless. Because we love and trust you, we are able to move closer and closer to Krishna. I am eternally grateful to you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, Jai, thank you, Mata. Our last speaker will be Bojadev Prabhu. Jai. And then at 11:45, we will be doing Artik to Prabhupada and making an offering the feast.
Om Gyanatamurandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Jina Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripasinabheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So on this disappearance day, one of the ultimate gifts Srila Prabhupada gave us was the understanding that how to enter, even in this body, into eternity. So Prabhupada's disappearance, just as he felt his spiritual master was always with him, the same is possible for us, that we can understand that we're eternal spiritual beings. Srila Prabhupada is our eternal Father, and we can feel his presence if we're focused on that and want to have that blessing. Great devotees, they always tell us that it's only by the mercy of the higher authorities of the spiritual master that we make advancement. Of course, we have to put our effort in as well. But the fact that we're eternal beings, and Prabhupada actually engaged us in the highest transcendental activity. He gave us the highest transcendental philosophy. But more than just philosophy, it's not a armchair speculation, but actually by, and many of us, whenever we came and joined the temple, he engaged us in pure devotional service. And he said, actually, all my disciples are pure devotees. It's just they haven't come to the full realization yet, because he engaged us in pure service. So every activity in the process of thinking, feeling, and willing, every activity serves some purpose, whether it's getting into your car, whether it's making an offering on the altar, whatever it is, it serves a purpose. But the transcendental understanding is that our purpose is actually to serve. So once we understand that all of our activities are meant to be engaged in the service of the spiritual master under his direction, that those are actually completely liberating activities. Those are the activities of liberation that we're doing in practice and that we'll be doing when we leave this body. And Prabhupada described how if one is Jivan Mukta, he becomes liberated while within the body. So once we're happy in our service, I remember one carefree day as a brahmachari, I thought, wow, I'm just happy doing what I'm doing here, and I'll be doing this in the spiritual world. It's the same thing. I'm serving under Krishna. So therefore, there's no real need to be fearful of death, because these same activities are going on. And it's described that the biggest fear in life is the fear of death. So Prabhupada showed us how to enter into eternity, and that eternity is actually in the here and now. It's not in the future, it's not in the past, it's not that we're going to do something to become eternal, that we're going to be eternally condemned or eternally in heaven. We're already eternal, we don't have to do anything to attain that status, it's just a matter of realization. So Prabhupada engaged us in the activities of eternity, in the activities of devotional service. And he was such a pure teacher by example, as we all have seen, and taught us that and backed everything up by scripture. So he said, as a great soul that he is, this verse 7:19, after many births and deaths, he was actually in knowledge, surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So Vasudeva Sarvamiti, that like Narayan was saying, that Krishna is actually everywhere. If you see Krishna everywhere, that he says, I have my separated material energies, but there is another energy, it's a spiritual energy that sustains the universe, and that is all the living entities are part of that spiritual energy. So to see Krishna in everything, Krishna can gradually reveal himself within our hearts, but also within the so-called external world. There is no duality. Everything is coming from Krishna. It's only our separated mentality of thinking I and mine, that this is for my enjoyment, he's my friend, he's my enemy, that all this duality comes and Krishna is pushed out of the picture, but there's actually nothing but Krishna. So if we're fortunate, we come to the Brahmabhuta platform, which one says if we read Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st and 2nd canto, seriously and have realized it, that we actually should be on that Brahmabhuta platform, which is the platform of eternity. So we understand in theory that we're eternal beings, and as we put it into practice, we'll become more and more free and act on that platform. So in this later famous verse, Krishna says in the 18th chapter, thus one who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service to me. So Prabhupada, we can see in his liberated state, he was always joyful. He would discipline when that was needed, but that was also joyfully done. And if one is actually on that eternal transcendental platform, he will be joyful and he'll be a friend to all living entities. And he won't lament, he won't hanker for anything, because everything is provided by Krishna. The happiness comes from within, and it continually manifests. And Prabhupada said that as Krishna is unlimited, so our relationship with him is also unlimited. And the happiness that we can experience in our constitutional position is also unlimited. So, given this example, given that he's engaged us in the activities of eternity, he showed us how to enter into into eternity in the present moment. That is, I think, something that I find myself meditating on this disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada. That there is no duality, there's no disappearance. There's only our eternal service and our relationship to Him, and He's definitely guiding our movement and guiding our services, and therefore, I feel that we can all be eternally grateful. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Bojadev Prabhu ki jai. So now, Prabhus, we're going to be getting ready for the Pushpanjali. And so we're going to ask everyone if they could please stand up. And as soon as the offering gets put back and the dividers here can be put away, we're going to be lining up here to the front. And everyone will have some flowers that we can offer. And make sure you grab enough to make 3 offerings. There's no one else around. So we need our flower petals. Rudra Dave? Hey Rudra, can you go in the back and pick up the flowers in the back for the Pushpanjali? Yeah, there should be some baskets there. Oh, they're coming. Okay, everyone, please come up, get real close. It's all come up and get personal. Okay, please repeat. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadbhitam Sabhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitangscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shivarshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Mayudhojjvala Premadya Sri Rupanuga Bhaktira Sri Gaura Karana Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Sri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaurakishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Padambujaya Te Namaha Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachirananda Namine Gaurashakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gauravirbhava Bhumes Tvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Jagannataya Te Nama Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Namo Maha Vadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Vishe Namaha Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Sarato Pangor Mama Manda Matergati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumada Srimad Ratnagara Singhasana Sto Srimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prestalivi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Vankshivata Tata Stitaha Karshan Venu Swanair Gopir Gopinata Shriyastanaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Isha Pushpanjali Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Isha Pushpanjali Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Parma Kevala Bhakati Sadama. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadama. Bandhan Mui Savadhanam Bhate. Bandhan Mui Savadhanam Bhate. Jahara Sadevai Bhavatari Aja. Jahara Prasadevai Bhavatari Aja. Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaham Hoite. Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaham Hoite. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chitete Kauriya Aikya. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chitete Kauriya Aikya. Anagori Hamane Asha. Anagori Hamane Asha. Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Utama Gate. Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Utama Gate. Jai Prasade Pure Sarvam Asha. Jai Prasade Pure Sarvam Asha. Chakudanam যে জন্মে জন্মে প্রভু সে চাকুদান দিল যে জন্মে জন্মে প্রভু সে দিব্য জ্ঞান হৃদয় প্রকাশিত দিব্য জ্ঞান হৃদয় প্রকাশিত প্রেমে ভক্তি যাইতে আর যাবি নাশ যাতে প্রেমে ভক্তি যাইতে আর যাবি নাশ যাতে গায় যাহার চরিত গায় যাহার চরিত শ্রী গুরু কারুণা সিন্ধু অধম জনর বন্ধু শ্রী গুরু কারুণা সিন্ধু অধম জনর বন্ধু লোকে না লোকের জীবন শিলা প্রভু পালকের জীবন আহা প্রভু কর দয়া দে আমারে বার ছায়া আহা প্রভু কর দয়া দে আমারে বার ছায়া এবে যাস গো সুদেব বানা এবে যাস গো সুদেব বানা শিলা প্রভু পার্বতী তপবনা জয় প্রভু পার্বতী তপবনা প্রভু কর দয়া দে আমারে বার ছায়া প্রভু কর দয়া দে আমারে বার ছায়া এবে দাস কুসুত্রে ভুবনা জয় প্রভু পার্বতী তপবনা জয় প্রভু বাললা শরণ জয় প্রভু পরা 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 নামা विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते Namaste Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Prachanine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pastatade Shatadine Namaste Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hare. Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hare. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hare. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish. Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish. Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish. Dwarkades, Rukmini Dwarkades, Rukmini Dwarkades, Rukmini Dwarkades. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Netai Gaur Haribo, 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 Haribo. Netai Gaur Haribo, 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 Haribo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo,
Haribo, 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 Gaur Haribo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Vidvajacharya. Ashtatarasi Sri Maharaj, Divine Grace of Hai Sharananand Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Skambhi Vidhi Founder Acharya, Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Vidvajacharya. Ashtatarasi Sri Maharaj, Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Sanatana Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Radha Shivasili Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Govinasham Radha Kungiri Govardhana Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Nadeep Dham Ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Sri New Dwarka Dham Ki Jai. Sri Sri Rukmini Dwarkadesh Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada's Holy Disappearance Day Festival Ki Jai. Sri Kartik Vrata Ki Jai. Gangamai Junamai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the sum of the devotees. All glories to the sum of the devotees. All glories to the sum of the devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gaur. Namaste Narasringaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Hiranya Kasi Purvaksha. Silatangana Kalaye. Ito Nasinga Parato Nisringo. Yato Yato Yamita To Nisringa. Bahir Nasingo Hridaye Nisringo. Narasingamadim Sharanam Prapade. Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Singam Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanubringam Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Tavakara Kamala Varenaka. Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanubringam Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Jai Nasingare Jai Nasingare Jai Nasingare Jai Nasingare Jai Bhakta Pralad, Bhakta Pralad, Bhakta Pralad, Jai Bhakta Pralad. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Bhaktivinoda Singh Bhagavan ki jai, Bhaktaraj Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Itai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, just a reminder that this evening there will be a continuation of the program. There'll be Artik at 6:30 here in the temple room, and then upstairs in Prabhupada's quarters at 7 p.m. there'll be another Artik. And for those who are feeling energetic, you can join us on the Harinam program that leaves out at 5:30 today. We're going to go to Santa Monica Boulevard for the Halloween Harinam. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Rama